Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the reconvening of the Hollis Select Board meeting on Wednesday, June 17th, 2026. We begin our Select Board meeting today at 4 p.m. We went into an executive session for about 45 minutes, and then we exited executive session and then had a little break before we started today at 6:05. So that's why I say reconvene. At this point, what I'd like to do is go in. Basically, we're going to, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance before we do anything else, though. Okay, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah. Yeah, we don't have a roll call on here. So we were also now going to do a roll call from our left.
Dick Morin.
Roger Hicks.
Danielle Bradbury.
Mike Harnois.
Jack Regala.
Danny Rumian.
Excellent. All right, now we are going to move for real on to number 6, which is welcoming our new and returning select board members, starting with Dan. Would you like to say anything to the people?
Thanks for trusting me for the next 3 years. Thanks for your votes, and thanks for Tommy and Phil for running a good campaign against Danielle and I, keeping us on their feet. And thanks to the existing board members for, not hazing me so much that I wouldn't come back.
Well said. And exciting day here. We have a brand new board member. Danielle Bradbury was elected overwhelmingly. Would you like to say anything to the voters?
I just wanted to say thank you guys for voting me in, and I'm looking forward to learning more and hopefully getting to help the town out. And I appreciate the warm welcome from all the other select board members and town manager. So thank you guys.
Absolutely. It's great to have you here. Thanks so much. All right. And the first item basically on the agenda after welcoming is actually electing a new chair. So with that said, we need to elect a chair for this next year coming up. So I will take nominations for a new chair.
Well, I'm going to make a motion that you remain chair.
Second.
You have a second. All in favor?
Make a motion nomination cease. Make a motion nomination cease also.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah. Bad chair. Make a motion. Does that have a second for nomination cease, or are there any other nominations?
I'll second Roger's motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Back to the original question. All in favor for myself, Mike Harnois, to stay as chair of the Hollis Select Board?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your confidence. Appreciate it. All right. Moving on to public comment for items not on the agenda. We'll start with online folks. If there are anybody that wants to speak online, I see only one true human. Seeing none. Anybody in the audience that wants to do public comment?
How are you? Tom Wachowski, Hollis resident. A task we took up before the whole election thing started, me and a small group of Hollis resident business owners got together and formed a small business guild. It's something that we were hoping would bring more face value or face time to Hollis-owned businesses, small businesses. These are all businesses that are started and owned by Hollis residents. We wanted to wait till after the election because apparently some people think I just do stuff to get elected. But clearly, least amount of votes, not the case. So we, like I said, I just wanted to come forward and introduce that. We started a website. If you guys want to check it out, it's www.hollismaine.com. Hollismaine.org is the town's website. Hollismaine.com is the Hollis Small Business Guild's website. So if you own a small business in the town of Hollis, you're a Hollis resident, feel free to go to that website, reach out at the bottom. There's a contact form. Give us just a brief outline of what your business is and how to get in contact with you, a logo if you have it. And we'll add you to the list of wonderful Hollis small businesses. That's it. Thank you, guys.
Is
Any
Maine-
questions?
Is Maine spelled out?
Yes, that's correct. So it's Hollis, Maine, MAINE.com. Just like the towns, instead of org, it's com instead.
All right, great, thank you.
Awesome, guys.
Do you
Thank-
have any, I have a question. Do you have
Yeah.
anything on the top that says that it's not affiliated with the town of Hollis?
No?
Do you think that would be appropriate?
Do you think that would be appropriate?
Yes.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll look into it for sure.
Okay.
All right.
Just so, you know, if the public's reading it, they might think, oh, this is a town government website, which it's not, right?
Yeah, no, it's a private thing.
I mean, I'm surprised that hollismaine.com was not something that we
You'd be-
already
there's a
had.
lot. I found this out. There's a lot of local towns that don't own most of their domains, like BuxtonMaine.com.
So hollis.maine.com
Yeah,
was
hollismaine.com.
available as a domain.
Yeah, Parsonsfield, Leamington, there's a bunch. So there's a gentleman that reached out. You see, he owned a small business in Hollis, and he says, "Hey, I own hollismaine.com. I think it'd be a great way to promote this. You
Yeah.
should. I'll gladly transfer the domain over to you." I said, "Well, that'd be phenomenal." So it was a great forward-facing thing. So
Okay, so your plan is to potentially turn it into something that we could use, the official town. Your proposal is to work towards making it a town website that promotes business?
no, it's just a website that's called hollismaine.com that promotes Hollis-owned businesses. If you, like I said, if you go to Hollismaine, you can pull it up real quick. It's really great website. And like I said, if you have a small business in Maine, or excuse me, in Hollis, just reach out and we'll add you to the list and try to get you some more, out to the residents. We see a lot of people moving to town and going, "Oh, we're looking for a plumber, a local plumber. We want to support local." And this is kind of it was a tick. This is kind of a way to, gives people a kind of a central place to go to. It kind of plays off the contractor policy that I put forth before, and we're still working to try to get into place. So something to give local businesses some shout outs and try to drum up some business for them. Anything else?
No, I think it's a great idea so people can see, what do we have in this town?
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, that's, like I said, that's the point of it, is to try to get some more advertising for local businesses when advertising is tricky now. Rod, you look confused?
Well, no, I'm just thinking that so many times that we go and we're doing projects within the town and we want to find viable companies to bid on our projects or put in a quote for a project that we're doing. A thing like this becomes an asset to us too, if we want to start looking for businesses within the town
That's
to say, hey, we've got this coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, it kind of plays off the contractor policy that, that Mary had asked for, and then I had put forward before, so that you guys know there are Hollis businesses out there. These are businesses owned by Hollis residents that would love to do some of the jobs that you guys have available, or bid on jobs, or have the opportunity to bid on jobs that the town needs done. So it definitely plays into that as well. So it's kind of a multi-faceted thing there.
I didn't realize, in the years I've been in the select board, that how many individuals have companies that are in
I'm not
this
going to lie to you.
town
I had
that
no idea
could
either.
have bid on stuff.
Yep. There's a lot more, and that's what I've learned kind of in the past 6 months with this kind of little project was there's a lot more people than I realized. And they don't have a big website. They don't have, big Google pages and stuff like that. They're not paying for advertising everywhere, but they're getting work and they're doing phenomenal jobs. Like that was how I found the plumber that just did my ADU stuff. So they said it was somebody had recommended him, and then ended up being a Hollis resident right over on Bean Street. I had no idea they existed. So it's a great way to, to get Hollis residents' name out there if they own businesses. And like I said, if you own a business and you're trying to get advertising out there, just feel free to reach out and we'll add you to the list, add your logo, and add your contact info.
Are you monetizing this for yourself or for anybody? It's just like who's paying for the hosting, who's paying for the domain, and things like
I
that?
pay for all of it out of pocket.
Okay.
There's zero monetizing. There's zero anything.
It's a good question though, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
if you question my motives, then yes, it is. But no, there's
I think it's a good question.
there's no monetizing it. There's no advertising. You're not paid to. You don't have to pay me anything. It's purely to help Hollis residents get out there. My businesses are on there. People that have worked for me are on there. So it's very much anybody that wants on it. If you're a Hollis resident, you have a business, send us a message, and we'll add you to the list. Good.
Yeah, the last thing I would just say is like maybe, again, on the disclaimer at the top, not a disclaimer, but just make sure that people, because there's people that might say hollismaine.com by mistake and think, oh, I'm on the Hollis website. Just maybe something at the top says like, if you're looking for the, the Town of Hollis official website, just have a link right there or something at the top, maybe.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
We'll definitely look into it.
Okay.
Cool. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank-
Any other public comment? Okay. Well, thank you very much. We move into something pretty great here, the Spirit of America Award announcements. Tonight, we are going to be honoring 3 different people or nominating Don Marine, Joe and Nancy Ponzetti, and Bennett Flenner. And to do that, I'm going to read one for Don, and then I didn't tell you this, but Roger, I gave you one. And
Thank you.
and Dan has one as
And
well.
Don.
So I'm going to start with Don. Don Marine, a lifetime of service and stewardship. Today, we gather with deep gratitude and admiration to honor a true champion of the community, Don Marine, as the recipient of the Spirit of America Award. Through decades of quiet leadership, unwavering integrity, and generous service, Don has left an indelible mark on the town, our state, and the industries he holds dear. His life stands as a shining example of what dedicated citizenship and heartfelt commitment can accomplish. For many years, Don has been a steadfast voice for the people of District 16 in the Maine State House of Representatives, serving from 2005 to 2008, and again from 2012 to 2020. As a respected member of the Agriculture, Conservation, and Forestry Committee for 4 consecutive terms, he worked tirelessly to protect the land, support farmers, and preserve the natural heritage that defines our region. Closer to home, his service has touched nearly every corner of the community life as a valued member of the town's Finance Committee, a former member of the Hollis Select Board, and currently as a dedicated member of the MSAD6 School Board since 2021. In these roles, he has contributed with distinction to the Facilities Planning, Finance, Negotiations, and Budget Advisory Committee, while also moderating special town meetings and candidates' nights. As a champion of fiscal responsibility, Don has worked diligently to ease the tax burden on families of MSAD6. His love for the land and commitment to future generations is beautifully embodied in the agricultural conservation easement he placed on his own property, creating a forever farm that will remain a living legacy of open fields and agricultural tradition for all time. Don's influence reaches far beyond local boundaries. A respected leader in the agricultural and equine worlds, he has served as director for the New England Expo and the Big E, as the member of the Board of Agriculture in the University of Maine, and on the Harness Racing Commission and the International Association of Race Commissions. Where do you find this time? It's incredible. His deep involvement with the United States Trotting Association spans numerous boards and committees. He has lent his expertise as board director for the Standardbred Transition Alliance and American Horse Council. A successful businessman and entrepreneur, Don owned and operated Standish Hardware and Feed Company for 30 years before thoughtfully selling the business to his loyal employees in 2003. It's awesome. In 1988, he and his beloved wife, Linda, founded Linden Farm Incorporated, where they bred and raised fine horses until 2010. Even today, in retirement, their love for horses continues as they lovingly care for their animals. Together, Don and Linda have built a rich family life blessed with 3 daughters, 2 granddaughters, 1 grandson, 4 great-grandsons, and a legacy of love that brings them the greatest joy. Don Marine embodies the very essence of the spirit of America, a man of principle, vision, and quiet strength who gives himself without fanfare, always working for the betterment of others. Through his service, his stewardship of the land, and his devotion to family and community, he has made our corner of the world a better place. Congratulations, Don. Today, we celebrate not only you, what have you accomplished, but the generous and honorable spirit of which you have lived your life. You truly represent the best of us.
think you overdid it a little. But
Mike-
thank you so much.
Microphone.
I am truly humbled and I'm honored to be nominated for the Spirit of America Award. This award was founded by James Stewart, one of my people that I looked up to as a young child and a young adult. Jimmy Stewart was a leading fine American, and he's the one that started the Spirit of America Award, and I'm very proud to receive part of that because of him. To receive this recognition from my hometown of Hollis is incredibly special to me. Through about my many years of public service, whether working right here in our own local town, or representing the neighbors at the county level, or serving the people of Maine and Augusta, my goal has always been simple: to leave things a little better than I found them. And you talked about the conservation easement on our farm. Linda and I moved to Hollis 40 years ago, and we founded the Linden Farm. Linda and Dawn is where Linden Farm came from. We love Hollis. We love that old farm. We love the old farmhouse. We worried for a number of years, what's going to happen to this place when we're gone? So having served in the legislature and knowing about the Land for Maine Future and the Maine Farmland Trust and all of those conservation places like that, I reached out to the Maine Farmland Trust and said, we'd like to put a conservation easement on our farm to protect it forever, in perpetuity. We don't want anyone to ever build houses here. We don't want solar towers. We don't want windmills. We don't want any of those things. We want it to be only agriculture. There are a couple of ways that you can do that. You can sell your development rights to Maine Farmland Trust, or you can donate your development rights. We weren't doing it for the money. We were doing it for the love of the old farm, for the town of Hollis and its residents. We donated our development rights to the Maine Farmland Trust in perpetuity. They come once a year and they inspect the farm to make sure that we are living by what we've asked them to do. And they will continue to do that ongoing. But as anyone who in this room has sat on a committee and on the legislative floor, they know that public service is never a solo effort. This award belongs just as much to the dedicated town officials of this town, its community organizers, and its fellow public service. I've had the privilege to work alongside with all of these folks over the decades. And every positive change we have achieved has been a team effort. A team effort is the key to most things. I opened a hardware store in 1973 on a wing and a prayer. Sold it to my employees in 2003, 30 years later. Why was it successful? Because it was a team effort. Why was it a team effort? Because that's what we made it. And I promised them when I got ready to sell the business, those that were still here, I would make sure that they got an opportunity to buy it. And they did. Team, team, team. This town is a great place to live, and I'm honored to live here, and I will hopefully live out the rest of my days here. And thank you very much for this award. It's very meaningful.
Very nice.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Representative Mark Blyer, and it's kind of fitting to be here tonight. Don reached out to me 9 years ago to run for the House of Representatives, and here I am due to term limits in my fourth and final term. I am a representative of District 138 until November. And so because of Don receiving the Spirit of Award, I thought it was fitting to also give him, I'm sure he knows what this is, being a legislator for many years, a sentiment, a state recognition of his accomplishment for receiving the Spirit of America Award. And so the sentiment, Don, if you want to come up, please. The sentiment does read, "Be it known all that we, the members of the Senate and the House of Representatives, join in recognizing the Honorable Donald Marion of Hollis, recipient of the Spirit of America Foundation Award. The Spirit of America Foundation was established to encourage and promote volunteerism, and the foundation presented award to honor local individuals, organization or projects in appreciation of community service. We extend our congratulations and best wishes, and be ordered that this official expression of sentiment be set forthwith on behalf of the 132nd Legislature and the people of the state of Maine, and is signed by the President of the Senate, Matty Daughtry, the Speaker of the House, Ryan Fecto, Robert Hunt, the clerk, and Derek Grant, the clerk of the Senate. And I'm here to present it to him this evening, and just want to congratulate him. And I am honored, Don, to give you this, and you deserve it, and I appreciate you for everything you've done. Thank you.
And thank you, Representative Blyer. And I know when I seeked you out, you were the guy to fill the shoes, and you've done a great job, and I appreciate that. And you've been very attentive to your work, and you've showed up on time like you were supposed to. I have presented lots of these over the years. I never expected to get one myself. I'm truly honored because I know what this means, and I know where the records are in the archives that is there. And Mark went way beyond what most people do. He bought the best folder that he could get. He could get the paper ones. He bought the leather ones. So thank you very much for that. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. So we have, I think, 5 more speakers for Don before we get to anybody else. It's a joke. Very nicely done, sir. Excellent. All right. Next on the list is Joe and Nancy Ponzetti. Now, I failed to have Don come up to the podium. Joe and Nancy, would you mind doing so we can get a good shot of you the whole time, see your reaction as Dan reads out.
Thanks for coming, guys. All right. For more than half a century, Nancy and Joseph Ponzetti have stood as steadfast pillars of strength, vision, and quiet grace in the heart of our community. Their unwavering dedication and generous spirits have woven lasting threads of progress, preservation, and unity into the fabric of Salmon Falls. It is with profound admiration that we honor them today with the Spirit of America Award. In recognition of their exceptional service and enduring legacy, they continue to build for every resident, present and yet to come. Joseph's leadership has been nothing short of transformative. As owner representative for the new municipal complex, he guided the project with skill, integrity, and an unerring eye for excellence, ensuring its successful and timely completion for the benefit of all. His foundation in learning, an Associate of Arts in Accounting from Sacred Heart University, and a Bachelor of Science in History from the University of New Hampshire, has long informed his thoughtful approach to public service, blending fiscal wisdom with a deep appreciation for the stories that shape our shared past. Nancy, Joe's love of his life, a passionate champion of history and masterful grant writer, has poured her heart into protecting the treasured landmarks that define our town's character. Through tireless advocacy, she's secured vital funding to preserve and enhance our historic properties, ensuring their beauty and stories will grace future generations. Her distinguished career as an educator, rising to department chair at Portland High School, sharpened her gift for crafting through policy and forward-looking town ordinances. With a master's degree from UNH and an undergraduate studies from Sacred Heart University, Nancy has always approached community life as both scholar and steward, nurturing minds and places alike with equal devotion. Together, Nancy and Joseph have formed an extraordinary partnership of purpose. Their collaborative efforts help secure essential funding to rehabilitate the beloved Salmon Falls Library, breathing new life into a cherished historical landmark. They championed meaningful government reform, including the transition to a select board and town manager structure and the creation of a formal town charter, advances that have strengthened transparency, efficiency, and trust. Ever mindful of the taxpayers they serve, they have thoughtfully guided the use of TIF funds and resolved lingering challenges within the municipal complex, always placing the long-term well-being of the community first. Since making Salmon Falls their home in 1983, Joe and Nancy have lived lives rich in love and rooted in service. They raised their daughter Katie here and now delight in their grandchildren, Caleb and Ellie, watching the next generation grow in the community they have so lovingly nurtured. In Nancy and Joseph Ponzetti, we see the very best of what it means to be neighbors, leaders, and caretakers of the American spirit. Their story is one of enduring commitment, quiet wisdom, and heartfelt generosity, a shining example of what dedicated citizens can accomplish when they pour their lives into a place they call home. Today, we celebrate not only their remarkable achievements, but the warm integrity and hopeful vision they have shared so freely. Thank you, Nancy and Joseph, for more than 52 years of selfless service. You truly embody the spirit of America.
Okay, so I'm the teacher, so I have to make some corrections. Joe has a Bachelor of Science degree from Nassau College. I'm the one from UNH with the master's degree, and I wasn't chair at Portland High School. It was Catherine McCauley High School. That Mike knows all too well.
I do.
being
I didn't
a-
go there, just for the record. But
Well, technically, he did take some music courses.
I did. I came over as the chorus boy. But anyway,
That's
please,
right.
it's your moment, not mine. Go.
When we first moved here, because I was born in Connecticut and Joe was born in Massachusetts, we met down in Fairfield, Connecticut 56 years ago. We look better than we are, age-wise, I hope. We always wanted to do some kind of public service, and Joe always has. Whether it was building affordable housing, drug rehab centers when he had his own business, he always taught me too the value of public service. My parents instilled that in me as well. When I retired from Macaulay, I remember saying to friends, I have no clue what I'm going to do now. Do I just sit at home and read books? And thankfully, Martha Huff needed ballot clerks. And from ballot clerk, many other things came. We love this town. We intend to stay here forever. Even when we go, we're going to still haunt the place. And I really enjoy working with the members of the select board, with Martha, with Mary Hoffman, who I'm sure had some hand in this award. And I'd just like to thank you all very much.
Well, it's impossible to follow her. I never do, I never try. So thank you very much. Appreciate the award, and we are proud to be residents of the town of Hollis. Thank you.
Thank you. Proud to have you. Okay, and last but not least, Ms. Flinner, would you mind making your way to the podium, please?
Yeah, I know, but I just got thinking about it.
Yeah,
I was on the board when we hired you.
you were.
That was my first term. Wow. Time flies, doesn't it?
It does.
Nomination for Bennett Flinner, Spirit of America Award 2026. As office assistant to the Select Board Town Manager, Bennett Flinner brings a wonderful blend of professionalism, warmth, genuine care to everything she does. I can attest to that. She's the kind person who makes government feel more human and approachable, and she's exactly why she stands out as such a deserving candidate for the Spirit of America Award. Bennett is incredibly organized and efficient. She gets things done on time while staying thoroughly familiar with town policies, ordinances, relevant state and federal rules. Coworkers know that they can count on her for smart, practical guidance that keeps everything running smoothly. Whether it is sorting out supply issues or tackling IT or website problems, she always right there to work diligently with the whole team. What really sets Bennett apart is her friendly, outgoing nature. She responds to staff and residents with prompt, warm, and caring attention. She's a great listener who never jumps to judgment. Instead, she gently helps people see the new options or bigger perspectives, turning potential frustration into understanding and teamwork. When things get urgent, Bennett jumps into action with calm. She finds solutions that are both effective and smart, never sacrificing quality for speed. Her work ethic is rock solid. She stays neutral in conflicts, always checks the facts, and draws on her deep knowledge of the town's history to give everyone helpful context. She has a real gift to find common ground, creating win-win situations that leave people feeling heard and respected. In her human resource role, Bennett excels at making complicated benefit information easy to understand so our employees can get the most out of what's available. She's the what person who will support the team 24/7 when it really matters. Always there to keep everyone informed and caring for during critical moments. She often describes as the perfect executive assistant, reliable, hardworking, and completely committed. Above all, Bennett is deeply family orientated. She doesn't just help individuals, she looks out for the entire families and the community as a whole. Committed to charities dear to her heart. Bennett also volunteers for the Autism Society of Maine, Girls on the Run, and the Bonnie Eagle High School drama and music programs. Through her tireless dedication, integrity, kindness, and heartfelt commitment to service, Bennett Flinner embodies the true spirit of America. For the past 10 years, she has made our town stronger and the community better, and she does it all with a smile and an open heart. She is a truly worthy recipient of this award. Congratulations, Bennett.
Thank you, Robert. Aw. Wow. I wasn't expecting that, but wow. Who wrote that speech? This has been Mary.
I like to add one little thing to this.
Okay, Jack.
I'm going to back up in time.
Oh, boy.
The very first day that I stepped into that building, and someone took me under their wing right away and said, "You stop here first." And that's where a sign came up, "The buck stops here."
The buck stops here.
Yep.
Mhm.
I'll never forget that.
Thanks, Jack.
You're a good person.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. It's been great living here the past 25 years, and I was so very blessed to actually get this job. It was just one of those things that I thought, why not? Why not work for the town? I was kind of in the middle of transferring my babies into the school full time, and this started as a part-time gig, and it's just grown into this position that's now a huge juggling game, but I love it, and I wouldn't change it for anything. So thank you so much. Appreciate you guys.
You're amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
You really have to be part of this town hall to really appreciate, you have to be part of the government or work at town hall to really appreciate what Bennett does. She's quite literally the glue of this place. So I won't say anymore. She's really helped me a lot. So I appreciate it. Okay. Appreciate everybody's. Thank you again for everyone's attention. We now move on to old business. The first thing in old business is we're going to talk a little bit about, just discuss potentially some things from June 9th election. Anything that the board wanted to kind of go over from it? Just some stats from the election. 1,455 people voted, which is pretty awesome for a June election. Some weird things that I wanted to maybe look at for next year, especially with the select board race, was there was 691 blanks on the ballot, meaning that, yeah, very much, very likely potentially affecting the race in some way. Maybe not, but we need to, I don't know what that looks like. And I talked to Crystal, our new town clerk, about that and what we could potentially do to educate voters to make sure you pick two. So 691 people did not pick two, and that's tough, but we'll get past that. We'll get past it, and hopefully do better next year. With that said, anybody on the board want to discuss anything from the election?
No, just it's one item that we're going to have to bring up and talk about is the reevaluation.
Yes. So that's Article 15 you're talking about, which is, shall the town vote to appropriate up to $265,000 from the unassigned operation fund balance for the reevaluation of real town property in the town?
Correct. Yep. We're right at that threshold with the state. We're at 60%, and we need to do a better education on that piece to the town.
So what I've been thinking and proposed is that next week, not next week, but the next meeting, that we have something in place to really educate the voters about what it's all about. I heard from multiple residents that they basically looked at it and said, I didn't know what I was voting for here. I thought I was voting for an increase or my taxes will go up. And the opposite is true, generally as a rule. So next week, I'd love to invite some resident voices as well as potentially experts to come in and kind of give us a little presentation on what it all means with visuals. I think that would help a lot.
I hope that we would invite John O'Donnell, our outside assessor, to also attend the meeting.
I'll check his availability for sure. Anything else on that subject?
No, I think it's a great idea.
Okay, so we'll make that an agenda item for next week. And okay, anything else you want to talk about from the election? Yeah, I was about to say I was going to thank everybody, but nothing from me? And so I also wanted to say thank you so much for all the poll workers and Crystal and Martha and all the work. This was quite the election. 1,400 people was far past what was expected, and they had to do some maneuvering right in the middle of it, and they did a fantastic job. A lot of towns actually had to do exactly the same thing, and they were able to manage it, and they went into the wee hours of the morning counting hand counting votes because of the turnout in essence. So really wonderful job done by all the poll workers. And again, special thanks to Martha and especially our newly elected town clerk, Crystal Gaudet. Thank you again. With that said, we are going to move on to minutes for May 6th and May 20th. So here we have minutes for Wednesday, May 6th, 2026 at 6 p.m. The attendees were myself, Mary Hoffman, Jack, Roger, and Dan, so pretty much four of us here. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the select board meeting from May 6, 2026. Does anyone want to read through it?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And secondarily, we have the minutes from the select board meeting for Wednesday, May 20th at 6 p.m. The select board meeting attendees were myself, Mary Hoffman, Jack, Roger, and Dan. So everyone was here. With that said, anyone want to read through this at all? Chair would entertain a motion to accept the minutes for May 20th, 2026.
Motion to accept.
Can I get a second? Sorry, that was a second. Any discussion? Sorry, I should ask that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And Danielle, you're sustaining. Yes,
Yeah.
obviously. All right, great. And next we have the TIF Advisory Committee has been meeting diligently over the last few months. And today we have the TIF Advisory Chair, coming up to basically give the findings and the recommendation, a presentation to the board, and that's Joe Ponzetti.
Good evening once again. The TIF committee was formed by the select board to evaluate and make recommendations as to how to proceed with the balance of the funds that we currently have and anticipate having between now and the end of the expiration of the TIF, which happens in June 30th, 2030. And that happened back in February. March 4th, the select board appointed 10 committee members. March 19th was our first committee meeting. And June 10th was the final meeting. The 10 committee appointees were myself, Emily Bear, Peter Buzzell, Robert Hanson, Coco Hurstel, Paul Rondu, Alan Scott, David Stewart, Karen Westcott, and Chris Young. We had our first meeting March 19th. The town manager introduced the committee members. The chair was elected. I was elected at that point. And we had a discussion as to how we were going to proceed and possible uses of the TIF fund. At that point, we set meeting dates, and our next meeting was in until June. April and May were canceled because we needed to wait for the financial summit meeting to happen so that we understood what the TIF balance was and what the anticipated funds to the end of the term would be. So with that information, we held the meeting back in June, just a little while ago, June 10th. And at that meeting, we had 8 members, and we also had some people present as they were there to observe and listen to the meeting, and there was some participation, but obviously they were not voting members. And we had 2 select board members, Roger and Jack, and we had our town manager, which we appreciated, attended that meeting as well. And also Tom Witowski attended. Thank you, Tom. So at that meeting, we discussed several different things. Let me first give you a quick rundown of the history of what happened in the town with the TIF. The TIF was signed back in 1999, and it was scheduled to run for 25 years. The agreement was negotiated back then, and all the uses and terms were defined in that original agreement. The first amendment was in 2017, and what that TIF agreement amendment was for was to extend the original agreement for 5 years until June 30th, 2030. The second amendment, which was 2024, allowed us to enhance the TIF agreement to include $3 million for the construction of this new town hall. The current TIF balance is $3,213,048. We project to collect by June 30th, 2030, $1,220,355 for a total of $4,433,403.
Joe, do you mind if I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Do you have any information on how long it took to do the second amendment to the TIF?
I do not know how long it took to do the actual work.
Yeah,
to extend it.
from this instance of when we decided to do a second amendment in the process. I know there's multiple steps to it. I don't know
Yeah.
if anybody on
Are
the
you
board.
talking about 2017?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it only took us a few months, and then we put it on the warrant.
Okay.
I
So
was part of
public
the-
hearing.
I was
Right.
part of the board back then when we did it.
Okay.
It
Okay, thank you,
wasn't
Joe.
that long, and extending it, sheltering us a little bit longer.
Okay.
And
Thank you. I'm
Is
sorry
that
to
your
interrupt.
question? Yeah. So apparently it didn't take very long, just a couple of months. So. But that was the essence of it, was really just to extend the TIF. It didn't change anything in the agreement. So we evaluated what we had in the first TIF agreement. And you have to note that the funds that are designated in that first agreement are spelt out, and they were approved, and the way they are approved, they need to be used for the purpose that they were described in that original TIF. You don't have a lot of leeway. You have to use the TIF funds the way they were presented. And the way they were presented in the original agreement, which was a little over $7 million, the first one is public safety. Public safety included police protection, fire protection, and rescue. We are fortunate enough to have the chief as one of our committee members, and Chris said that all the monies that were designated for him to use have been used. The only thing that was left in public safety was police coverage. Police coverage was originally a $900,000 number. $100,000 of that was used for police protection, and I know that Roger was part of that and understood that because he helped explain it at the meeting we had on the 10th, that $100,000 was used to supplement the protection by hiring, subcontracting to the sheriff's office. And we paid $100,000, and that was only for a period of time, and then that was the end of it. They weren't rehired. And maybe Roger, you can tell us what the essence of that was.
It went for 2 to 3 year, 2 to 3 years, and then at the 4th year, it would have been, the town would have had to pay the full amount, and I believe that's when it got defeated, because the town didn't vote to continue it.
So it was decided that that wasn't a good use of funds, or that they wanted to take a different route for
It was
police.
under the contract with the sheriff's department, and they decided not to continue it.
So that was the end of police protection.
Correct.
So the committee looked at that, and they analyzed it, and they felt that we really needed to think about using that $800,000 potentially to develop the town's own police force. So that was their consideration at that point for the balance of those funds. Then we move on to the road construction, road maintenance, and related facilities. We did have Robbie, the road commissioner, at the meeting because he is a committee member. And at that point, Robbie was able to tell us that they did, in fact, spend all the money that was allocated to them, $1,240,000. So there is no money left in that category. The remaining category, economic development program and TIF administration, has $3,550,000. That fund has not been touched. The balance of those funds remain intact. That is broken down so that there is a line item for the planning and study in economic growth. There is a line item for implementation. There's a line item for purchasing property. There's a line item for infrastructure. and administration. And the committee felt that it was important that we look at that and spend those funds the way they were designated, or recommend that those funds be spent the way they were designated, and that we look hard at how we can implement that. So the conclusion of the TIF committee was that for public safety, the town should use the remaining balance of $800,000 to fund its own police protection rather than contract out the exclusive coverage of the town to York County Sheriff's Department or the state of Maine, as would be the state police. Under Economic Development Program, the $3,550,000 allocated for economic development to improve the town's tax base has not been used. The town of Hollis should engage the services of economic planning professionals to identify the possible development opportunities. The issue here is that time's running out. And if we don't use those funds, we're going to forfeit those funds. We have approximately 2.5 years to implement that, the use of those funds in some kind of a program. And then after that, we have another 3 years to complete whatever task we undertake. So June of 2033, we have to have, if we do identify by June of 2030, we have to complete all the tasks. We have 3 years to complete the tasks, but they must be completed by the end of June of 2033. But that is to say that if we don't start and we don't have a program to use those funds in 2.5 years, then we have lost all opportunity to access those monies. That being said, this is just an introduction. Obviously, these are very complex issues, but I think the select board needs to move forward and maybe, engage the town manager in a task to review those two items, public safety and economic development, and look hard at how we can start to evaluate the possibilities. Maybe at some point we can talk about hiring some professional planners to look at the economic possibilities for developing either a site, an economic site, and infrastructure. But the time is running out, and we need to take some kind of action. Hopefully, you can take this as an advisement to move forward with, either some kind of a study or some kind of a plan. And we leave it in your hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Before Joe steps on, any questions from the board on the policy, the process that the committee took, or anything along those lines?
Well, if we're going to move on this, it has to be quickly because the clock is ticking.
The clock is ticking.
And we know what it took to get this building, how many years. So if you're looking at public safety to do a quick turnaround, again, this going before the people in dollar amounts, if it gets voted in or not. What's your backup plan? I mean, we have to look at a backup plan. What would there be? And it was kicked around, and we talked about it, our own DPW for infrastructure care. In a roundabout way, that would save money too. But I'm not shortchanging the fire department with the police department, but you're going to have a tough time filling positions as police officers. There's other towns that are short-staffed right now. So I think, like I say, we just can't sit on it. We have to get moving on it, discuss it, and present it.
Any other comments from the board? Any other comments from the board?
No, basically what he basically said it in a nutshell. Time's running out, we got to make a plan.
I think I'd like to take a couple weeks to digest this and, get it. But I'd also like to open it up to the public right now for a short, maybe if you can, like 2 to 3 minutes. And I would love if the public comment, if you're going to make comment, just kind of keep it to the report itself as opposed to potentially throwing out. Well, if you have an alternative to, I'm fine to hearing that. But any public comment on the report that was given tonight?
Because before this was established, was it over a year ago? Mary and I wrote for another federal grant to build a Department of Public Works building, but we get denied because we got this building. So it was an attempt to start moving forward, but unfortunately it failed. We couldn't get enough congressional support.
And I will say, I think one of the things that Joe kind of talked about was the road commissioner was on the board, and he was kind of saying, in essence, he thought that we weren't there yet of some sort, was kind of what the road commissioner was saying on the DPW piece. But
Well, that's just based on road maintenance, but taking everything else into consideration, what we're paying for contracts and et cetera, that just adds a little bit more to it. Unfortunately, Roger doesn't have his big red book with all the numbers in there. But that's something to be discussed. Is that the avenue you go? Is that what the people want? That's what's going to happen here.
Yeah, I think I'd like to see the numbers personally, like what we pay obviously now, and then what would be expected to pay with a public works department.
Exactly.
Because, yeah, it's better black and white, and then
Yes,
maybe
it
something
is.
we can post on
Yes.
the website to the voters to also look at, and then figure out if there's also a different plan that we can go, different route, public works, and if people don't want that, something else that we can
Well,
look into.
it's just, like I say, you're going to have a backup plan with this.
Yeah, I think Phil Fenimore, Bean Street. I think the big thing here, I think what Joe said is probably the first thing that should be acted on. The getting the information of exactly what's earmarked and how much it is, like that, knowing that original agreement. I don't think a lot of people knew the exact definitions and the exact line items of those things. And some of what we're talking about here with Public Works would require another amendment process, by the sounds of it. And if time is of the essence, I think doing our due diligence to research the viability of what's in the original agreement, which is what the committee said we should try to move forward with, is probably a good next step. That's just my opinion, because we now know exactly what those line items are designated for. We know exactly what money is in there. We have to know, is the money we have available viable for what we want to do, and can it be done within the time frame? We need to know that before we start talking about amendments of using this money for different things other than what it's earmarked for, because time is of the essence. And if it's going to take multiple months to do that research and then multiple months for an amendment, now we're potentially half a year behind on less than three-year period. So that's just my thought. I would encourage you all to maybe move that along quicker so that we can actually get the nitty-gritty of what will this money afford us to do within these already defined the line items and agreements.
Thank you.
Yeah, just on the police. Back in 2017, Mike, Reeder, and myself tried to recontract with the sheriff's department. And at the time, the law changed that the state police could also contract. So I did due diligence, and I ended up going as high as the director of public safety to get the answer out of the state police. When he got back to me, he said for the first year it would be $200,000 for a trooper and $170,000 for every year after. So back then, we went to the sheriff and said, okay, we want a contract right now for one deputy for the town of Hollis. And his reply is, no, you gotta have 3. Because of the zone changes in the agreement between the sheriff's department and the state police, where we split towns, Hollis went to the state police, and he goes, well, to take it back from the state police, you gotta have 3, not 1. So we went over and talked to the county manager, and he goes, well, I gotta go with what the sheriff says. So if he had said 1, we would have had a contract by now with the sheriff's department, but that didn't happen. We basically told him, no, we're not gonna hire 3 people, and then he said, no, then I'm not gonna give you a deputy. So just to give you the history back then. So there has been attempts to try. And then we had talked with Mark in the town of Buxton at one point to try and become a joint police department with Buxton too, but we just didn't work it out at that point in time. And plus right now, Buxton's having their time with being down people and things like that. So law enforcement today is a tough business. So just to give you a little history, I know.
Hey, Joe, can you come back up, please? I try to refresh my memory a little bit with that last meeting, that it was kicked around, that most of the folks on there preferred having their own police department.
Well, the committee looked at that, and rather than give away or forfeit $800,000, you have to remember, these are designated funds. We can't move these funds around.
Right.
These funds are already determined as how they're going to be spent. That was done 25 years ago. Now, we can do, as Roger has said, we could look to maybe Buxton. Maybe we can join forces. Maybe we can pay them to overlap rather than the sheriff's department. Maybe there's a way to use that $800,000 differently than try to start up our own police force. I don't know what the answer is. It's something that has to be evaluated. The committee merely said, let's not throw away $800,000. If there's a way to use it, we recommend that we do something for police protection as it was stated in the original TIF. Now, that's something the select board's going to have to evaluate. We've got a very capable town manager now, and that's up to you how you want to use his time. But if you asked Dick to say, look, do some research on this, I think you would find that that'd be time well spent, as well as economic development. I think Dick would be a great resource if you challenge Dick to do some research on planning economic development and let him come back with recommendations. I think you'd be surprised as to how quickly we can move this thing forward. But if we do not, then these accounts are closed. These accounts are swept June 30th. Come that year, 2030.
Blink and that's going to happen.
And that's only 2.5 years.
Yes.
I mean, we don't have a lot of time. So it's ours to use or it's ours to lose. So we got to be vigilant.
So in the interest of moving us forward, I've been trying to think of maybe instead of tabling this and talking about and digesting, I want to just see what the board would think about something that does in this meeting potentially move us forward, and it does involve empowering the town manager. Stick with me on this. I'm going to try to talk through it. But so we have the TIF administration funds, right? We have up to $150,000 to basically hire professionals to look at this particular economic development zone, not industrial park, by the way, economic zone. Okay, we have that money set aside in the TIF funds to do exactly that. We could, one, empower the town manager to start looking into what firms would do that, what it would look like, what they would look at potentially in using the funds in that way. And then at the same time, as a backup precaution, in my opinion, we should also have the town manager also evaluate or look into what it would mean to actually amend the TIF third amendment, TIF amendment, that would potentially change what is there right now, not to completely undo all the work that the committee did, but as a backup measure to move us potentially forward. How do you feel about what I just said? Does it make any sense of what I just said?
I feel that we'd be cheating our taxpayers if we gave up on the economic development program entirely on this. That's the whole point of this TIF, is so we don't get a big jump in our taxes when the TIF runs out, because we don't have this shield, county and school taxes. We have looking at going up. So the whole point of a TIF is to help out towns with that, and the economic part, I think we can't give up on it. I kind of like finding, old magazines from the 80s or 90s and open it up and say, oh, I could have bought a Corolla back then for, $7,000. How come it costs $50,000 now? And a lot of these numbers I'm looking at is exactly that. Like a highway vehicle, you picture a big plow truck and it says you can buy one for $80,000. You can't even buy a pickup truck now for $80,000. Fire trucks, $225,000. We spend $1 million on those things almost. So I think, this was great in 1999. If in 2000 we would have started it back then, we probably could have had all these things in by now. But since we've been delaying it and inflation's been going up, I don't think any of these things are valid numbers anymore. Some of the things in there, I see $1 million water and sewer lines into Hollis. Okay, where's that coming from? Once we get there, we have $750,000, once we get from the border to wherever this TIF thing is. So, just some of these numbers, I think that they might have worked back then if something else might have fallen in place, but I'm just saying it's going to take someone who knows what they're doing to come up with a good solution here.
Yeah, and my concern was more about the public safety piece and, making sure we don't use that. And yeah, 2 seconds. Is that something, that's what I was kind of thinking on the TIF agreement.
So why aren't we looking at any of the I'm Debbie. Why aren't we looking at any of the comprehensive plans? We've had two since we signed on to this TIF agreement. Because those were both written to
Could you speak
address
into the
what
mic?
was moving forward with the town. We gave them money too.
Thank you, Tom.
Oh, sorry.
I would love if you said exactly what you just said again.
Okay. Why? Yeah, I'm short. I'm sorry. Why aren't we looking at the comprehensive plan? That addressed all this. They talked about village centers. They talked about a lot, but the comprehensive plan should be part of this. Number two, before we're doing a lot of stuff and putting it on the town manager, why don't we have a charter? We need a charter in this town, and people need to understand what a charter is and how it benefits us, as opposed to throwing it out there and everybody votes it down. But the comprehensive plan, they didn't sit around and spend months putting these together, because I was on the one way back when. So you might want to talk to Kathy Harriman. I believe she's been on both of them.
Yes, she has.
So all of this is being addressed. So now you got another committee that now we're going to call the TIF committee, when you've had this planning committee out there for years. My opinion, a charter, and look at that comprehensive plan too.
Thank you.
Stick around for the next topic, too.
So in the comment on your looking at the numbers, back when I was in 2017, town of Buxton bought a fully equipped snowplow, sander, automatic lights be gone release, radios, everything, $158,000. Now, if we try and buy that snowplow now, it's probably close to $380,000. So you're right, Dan, on that. The numbers change.
I'd love to get to a motion to move something forward tonight. Can we do that? Can we get the town manager to look at least the, potential to research the TIF administration, using the TIF administration funds to, like, companies that would look at this economic development? Does that make sense to everybody? Not to appropriate funds necessarily, but to do research on it. Town manager, do you have anything that off the top of your head?
I'm a little confused about what you said. The TIF administration budget moving forward and seeking some prospects for actually doing or examining the concept of economic development, where, how, and what it would cost to do that. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, the feasibility of things. Joe, that's how that 150, correct me, I don't want to say anything incorrect here, so I just want to make, correct me if I'm wrong in terms.
That is correct. And,
Microphone.
there are
Microphone.
organizations.
Joe.
There are organizations like the Southern Maine Planning.
Right.
There is University of Maine Extension Program. So what we have is we have roughly $225,000 in that budget to examine and to hire professionals that could outline what a economic zone would be. Obviously, we don't have to spend $225,000, but I think having the town manager do some research into seeing, who can we hire, how much would it cost, and what can they provide, so that maybe it has to be a defined scope of work that Dick could put together and see if he couldn't get 3 bids, and come back to the board and make some suggestions as to how much would it cost to hire some professionals to do this, and when could they do it, and how long would it take, and then you have something to evaluate. And something similar to that with police protection or public safety. Let Dick, start to do some research on that, and let him come back to the select board with some suggestions. Maybe at that point, you may want to form another committee. Maybe you want to form 2 committees, one for public safety, one for economic development. But at least get Dick in motion, or something has to be in motion here to come back and give you recommendations as to what direction you should go in. Because I think we need to have either somebody has to be out front. And if it's the town manager and it's a committee, if he wants a committee, or if you want a committee, we need to get these things appointed, or these positions appointed, and we need to move forward, and rather quickly, because if we have just 2.5 years, let's we're going to have to go to a public vote on these issues, so even 6 months can go by fairly quickly before we're ready to present something to the town to vote on. And then we have to have that implemented within the next 2 years, so that we can actually say that we have engaged individuals for the amount of money that's left in the TIF to make those expenditures, or they have to be contracted. And then we have 3 years after that, 2030, to complete the work before those funds are no longer accessible to the town through the TIF, because they will expire.
Okay. Are you comfortable with that?
I am.
Are you comfortable with everybody making a motion right now to empower the town manager to research these things?
Make a motion that the town manager does the research for the economical development.
Second.
As well as the public safety.
Right.
Okay. And you got a second?
Second,
Any discussion? All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Dick, if I could be of any help to you, let me know. I'd be happy to give you any information
I
that I
know
have.
where to find you.
Thank you.
Hopefully that is the start, the catalyst, the spark that gets this
Get the ball
going.
rolling.
Here's hoping. All right. Now we're actually on another Ponzetti ordinance to committee to change the elected officials to appointed employees. Basically a draft ordinance presentation by Nancy Ponzetti.
This time I get to follow him. I'll tell you, I've never learned more about TIFs and what happens to them than I ever wanted to know. Good evening. Okay, this was the committee a study committee, to consider elected municipal officials, and instead of electing them, to move them to hired or appointed employees. And I'll just give you a little brief rundown. On February 4th, 2026, at the request of Terry Walters, who was on the committee and is here this evening, the select board was asked to appoint a study committee for this plan. The select board made a motion and it was passed 5-0. So the committee was going to be formed. Applications for the committee were put on the town's website. And on March 4th at the select board meeting, 11 members were named to this bipartisan committee. And I'd like to stress that fact. This was a bipartisan committee. The 11 members included myself, Jim Booton, Becky Bowley, Gerald Butch Gannett, Beverly Harris, Don Marine, Paul Mator, Joe Ponzetti, Debbie Scolas, Terry Walters, and Scott Wintle. Altogether, the committee had 4 meetings, beginning on March 8th, where we also met with the town manager, who introduced the committee to each other, explained basically what our job or our goal was to be. 7 members out of the 11 attended that meeting. Also at that meeting, the town manager gave out to the committee a series of job descriptions for the 4 elected positions that we're talking about. And those 4 positions are road commissioner, tax collector, town clerk, and treasurer. On March 17th, we had our second meeting where all 11 members were present. The first order of business was to select a chair. I was nominated, and Jim Booton was nominated to be our secretary. On March 31st, we also met, all 11 members. And then again on April 14th, we had 9 of the 11 members present. At the March 17th meeting, one of the first questions I asked, so we knew what direction to take, was how many members that were there were in favor of an ordinance to change elected to appointed. It was a unanimous vote, 11-0. Therefore, that made my job and our job a little bit easier. If everybody agreed on the committee that we should go from elected to appointed, then the next step was to come up with a draft ordinance that would then go to the voters for approval. Basically what the ordinance says, and by the way, there are copies for people who are here tonight if they wish to have them on the back table, of the cover letter that I wrote, the ordinance that the committee wrote, and a copy of all of the minutes that Secretary Jim Booton submitted to the select board. These 4 positions would go from an elected position to a hired position at the expiration of the term. So for example, our current treasurer's term is up in 2027. At that point in time, if this ordinance passed, that treasurer position would go from being elected by the people to being hired by the town of Hollis. We would not interrupt anybody's term. So Crystal Gaudet was just just elected as our town manager for a 3-year term. She would stay, town clerk. She would stay our town clerk until her term expired in 2029. And then at that point in time, the town clerk position would then become a hired position. The current official may apply for the job. We have been very lucky here in this town to have some really outstanding municipal officers and municipal officials. Why would we want to get rid of them if they're doing the job? This would also help to guarantee them job safety. If we have someone who's really doing a great job and we go to an election, they could possibly get voted out. So that was one of our many reasons.
Hey, Nancy, I have a quick question. If
Sure.
you don't mind. Is there anything in your research and the committee's research, if, let's just say, for example, Crystal, who was just elected, let's just say this ordinance passes, and a couple days in the particular time, and Crystal technically resigns as elected clerk, could she then be appointed as the clerk or hired as the clerk, or is it important that the term be served out?
It's important that the term be served out. If she resigned, she could be named interim town clerk.
Right.
And if this ordinance doesn't pass, she'd have to run for reelection.
Right.
This is also part of state statute, Title 30A, good old Title 30A. It says specifically they must be able to fill out their term, and if they resign, there's no guarantee that they're named as interim or that they will be rehired or that they can apply for the position.
Thank you. I just appreciate that clarification.
You're welcome. The draft ordinance would now go to the town clerk, and hopefully the town attorney legal would examine the ordinance to make sure that we're not in conflict with any language for any of the state statutes. If everything goes back and the select board approves to put this on the warrant in November, this would become effective on June 8th, 2027. And so, again, as I mentioned, the first position would be treasurer. And then we would have a hired treasurer at that point in time. Like I said, our current treasurer could apply for the job. We're not trying to get rid of people or throw them out of their jobs. We're just trying to broaden the applicant pool and really to avoid the situation that we've had with our tax collector. I know it's on the agenda coming up for new business. But if you remember, we had a special town meeting regarding salary. And it was at that meeting where we were told, those of us who attended or watched on Zoom or YouTube, that 3 people had taken out papers for tax collector and that only one of those 3 returned them. Therefore, technically, the voters really had no choice whatsoever. You vote for the person on the ballot, you write someone in, and being a ballot clerk for 10 years, we often get Wavy Gravy, Donald Duck, Mickey Mouse, Roger Hicks. Poor Roger's been, I think, elected or voted on in every single position this town has. So these are the reasons why the committee moved forward. If this is accepted, not once legal reviews, our plan as a committee is to meet in September, make any revisions that are suggested either by legal or by the select board or the town manager. We would then do an education campaign as we did for the 5-member select board town manager form of government, which would include Facebook pages, flyers, interviews with Saco River Community Television, and the local newspapers like Waterboro Reporter. And then the vote, as I said, if this is on the warrant, would be on November 3rd. Besides doing this, when we saw that there were different job descriptions for treasurer, the committee also recommended 2 things. One is that either in November of this year or June of next, that the warrant issue for writing a charter be put back on the ballot. We know it was defeated, unfortunately quite handily, the last time it was put on in November of 2024. But again, we feel that with the proper education tools, we might be able finally, once and for all, to get a charter for this town. The second recommendation was that the town manager and the select board review anything having to do with employment, whether it's an employee handbook, personnel policies, job descriptions, compensation and benefits packages, employee training requirements, and anything else that might be part of an employment agreement. And so, folks, that's what we did. And like I said, if you'd like copies of the minutes and the outline and the ordinance, they're on the back table. Any questions?
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your work and everybody on the committee. I meant to say that for the TIF committee as well. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, Jack.
Basically, what we charged the committee to do, they completed.
Yes, we
Now
did.
it's up to us to carry on with the work that they did.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's it.
Just want to make a quick comment. The comprehensive plan is being reviewed. Mary Hoffman was on the committee. I think she's going to still stay on. The last comprehensive plan that was done was many years ago. So anything having to do with economic development, economic overlay zones, et cetera, really does need to be updated. The previous work done by Paul Mator as chair was not voted on by the public. And so we need a new comprehensive plan. Can't use the old one. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, Terry Walters. I'll be very brief because Nancy did a great, excuse me?
Just move your
Lift the
microphone up.
Nancy, I'll be very brief because Nancy did a great job going over the what the committee came up with. She also did a great job as chairman. On February 4th, I asked the select board to appoint this committee because I thought it was a good step forward for the town. It was a study committee to see if it was a good idea to elect folks rather, or appoint them, hire them. You know, when you ask for a committee, you never know if you'll get enough people to sign up. Well, we got 11 people, and that was great, a lot of interest. They're from all segments of the community. We met, as Nancy said, and it was amazing. All 11 people agreed it was a good idea. Now, that
doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen. So I'd encourage you folks to approve this and move it along because I think it's good for the town. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. It's good for the town. It's also, our neighbors recently did this exact thing in a special town meeting. They just took action really, really quickly. So there's a precedent for it. It's a modern way of approaching this. Gives us a lot more options. So I think at this point, I'd like to just make sure that we have everything in order to what we need. Does anyone have any other comment before is there any action that you want to take at this point? I just say.
What I'd like to do is I just want to take and review everything.
Same.
So at the next meeting, I would suggest we take action on it.
I do. I agree with that as well. Okay, great.
Not to kick the can down the road, but I just want to review the work that you've done and then bring it up if we can add it to the agenda for the next meeting.
Absolutely. I think it's a lot clearer than the TIF version. We can probably move that. So your motion to table this until the next committee meeting select board meeting until so we can review it.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
The only discussion, I just want to make sure this is all available to the public. Anyone can look at this and review it and comment to us about that too. I hope.
If possible,
Absolutely.
to put it on the website also, if you
Yep.
would, please.
I will take this and forward it to the attorney, get a cursory review before the next meeting.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Okay.
Awesome. All right. And I don't think we took a final vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. All right. We are moving on to the mowing contract. And amend them to the mowing contract. Has anyone not reviewed this at all? So we are looking to accept an amendment to the mowing contract for the town of Hollis. I'll just kind of read this out, kind of paraphrase it here. The Hollis complex, what we're looking for is an increase from 195 to 210 per mowing for the Hollis complex, including 2 ball fields. In addition to the above, the additional mowing of the new banking between the community building and the town hall at $160 per mowing. So the Hollis Sports Complex at the intersection, of course, of Plains Road and Lower Tarbox, mowing and trimming, 195 increase to a 210 per mowing. Dick, did you have anything you wanted to add to this or anything, or is this pretty much what it is?
Well, candidly, it's how we were billed the last session. So I took those prices off the last bill, bring it forward because the existing contract had the lower numbers, and there was one extension letter that brought it forward with no addressing on the fees, but with the cost of fuel and the additional space, we discussed it kind of off the record, and it sounds like a pretty square deal to me.
So,
This includes the islands, right?
Say that again?
This includes the islands. We had that discussion. That's that extra increase, but he would be
Yep.
taking care.
Yep.
Okay. Because I just see what's in between, meaning that bank and everything, but
If you'd like, I can add that.
yeah, I think so, because it's, you know what I mean?
okay. So we won't sign this tonight, but we can,
If you would give an approval,
yes.
and I'll
I'll try
edit
anyway.
for signatures at the next meeting.
Okay. Well, we can still have some discussion, but Chair would entertain a motion to approve the amendment to the mowing and landscape contract. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion about this, further discussion about this?
No, other than what I mentioned.
Just
that's
the
it.
adding addition to that particular piece, okay? Okay, all in favor? To
Yes.
approve? Yes?
Abstaining.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes? Okay, that's 4 yeses, 1 abstain. Motion passes.
Had to.
Second.
Oh, I don't have a pen.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right.
Are you signing this?
You. All right, the next order of
It's the wrong color
business.
bill.
The only thing,
It don't matter.
hold on one second. Just want to make sure. Hey, Bennett, where's the cannabis? I have this cannabis license renewal. Is there anything that we need to talk about here? The cannabis, is this something that we need to? It's just a prior approval, so we don't need to talk about. Okay, great. So that moves us on to new business. Would you like me to? There's really nothing to talk about here other than basically to announce the resignation of our tax collector, Heather Peralt. In the interim of basically electing a new tax collector, we have appointed, the select board has appointed Faith Plummer as interim tax collector, and we did that on 6/12/2026, so we are able to continue services to our residents. Anything anyone wants to say?
Yeah. Got to vote on accepting her resignation.
Really? Okay. Please make a motion.
With regret, I make a motion we accept Heather Peralt's resignation as tax collector.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, if there's, I didn't ask for any discussion, I apologize. Does anyone have any discussion before we move on? I apologize. Okay. All right, let's move on to something a little bit
Excuse me,
more.
Mike.
Yes.
I did send an email to you all today with a couple of variables about how to proceed. We're down to one person at the front office, and that, if anybody walked through there tonight, you saw the line is atrocious. So the public, please, if you have the ability to automate, use the internet to re-register, or if you have any way of facilitating, make sure you show up with all of the things that you need to re-register if that's what you're doing, or register new. Faith is doing the best she can to keep up with it, but we're gonna have to put our heads together and come up with a plan, because we are only naming her through November, and then we're gonna look at electing a new tax collector, and how do we staff this office efficiently for the next 4 or 5 months. Take a look at what I sent to you, and let's have a conversation at some point.
All right. Moving along to Roger's favorite subject, paving bids. You want to take this, buddy?
Do I want to take it? Oh, I got a copy of it.
You love talking about, okay, you love talking about paving. So there's a, why don't you just take B, please?
Okay. Let's see, Town of Hollis, Maine has requested sealed bids for the paving of 7 roads within the town. Okay, are we gonna, if we accept 7 bids, we only have so much money in the budget to do this. So did he come up with a little idea of, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Okay, thank you.
Working closely with Road Commissioner Rob Hanson, the bidder will provide an itemized cost for each of the roads outlined below. The following 7 roads must be priced with surface tax, sweeping butt joints for all paved entrances and intersection. 12-inch aprons on all dirt entrances, traffic control, and 2-foot shoulder gravel. Bean Street from Route 35 to end of pavement, 1-inch shim, 1-inch surface, 9.5 millimeter. Dayton Road, formerly Dyer Road, from 35, 250 feet to the end of guardrail, 1-inch shim, 1-inch surface, 9.5. Section of road from the middle of the large culvert to the end of the guardrail to be built directly to the town of Dayton. Okay. Hanson Lane from Route 35 to end of pavement, 1-inch shim, 1-inch surface, 9.5. Stewart's Lane from Route 202 to end, 1-inch shim, 1-inch surface, 9.5. Winton's Lane from Route 202 to end pavement, 1-inch shim, 1-inch surface. Shaw Lane, 1.5 surface, 9.5. Lisa Lane, 1.5 surface, 9.5. All bids must include measurements of each road, cost per ton of asphalt installed, and the total price per road with aprons and shoulders. Proof of insurance and bond will be required for work. Contractor is responsible for measuring all roads. Bids must be sent through the U.S. mail, express mail, or hand-delivered to the Hollis Town Hall, Town Manager. Bids are not accepted through email or fax. Sealed bids must be received at the Hollis Town Hall, Town Manager, no later than 4 p.m. on Wednesday, July 15th, 2026. All bids should be clearly marked paving bid, addressed to the Town of Hollis. Attention, paving bid, Town Manager, 34 Town Farm Road, Hollis, Maine, 04042. Bids received after deadline will not be accepted. The town is not liable for any costs incurred by the bidder. The town of Hollis, Maine reserves the right to accept or reject any or all proposals and bids. For any bid questions, please contact Rob Hansing at 207-727-2999. Bids will be opened in public at the Hollis Select Board meeting on Wednesday, July 15th, 2026 at 6 p.m. in the Hollis Town Meeting Room, 34 Town Farm Road, Hollis, Maine. So that's the announcement, and I know it'll be posted on everything.
Okay.
Oh.
Any comments, anything? Please.
Good evening, Greg. Good evening, Greg McPherson. A couple questions. Is there a reason that we're not using more resources to advertise this bid? Looks like we're only advertising on the Hollis website and the MMA website. We're not using Construct Connect, Construction Summary, Maine AGC, the places that contractors looking for bids like this.
If you would, Greg, since how you have that information, if you could send an email to the town manager, and I'm sure we'd be gladly to add that on.
Yeah, and then will there be a bid tabulation posted on the town's website after the bid opening?
I'm sorry?
Will there be a bid tabulation posted on the town's website after the bid opening?
Usually we read them right out in the
Yeah,
town.
but will there be a physical, will there be a PDF version of the bid tabulation available to the public after the bid
on the
opening?
name of the contractor and how much they bid? Is that what you're looking for?
Correct, the name of every bidder and the summary of their bids.
Yeah, I suppose we can do that.
That'd be great for all future bids. I know that most towns do that, and it's good. It's good for the residents, but it's also good for the bidders to know where the market stands and how they can bid better in the future.
Oh, okay, thank you for the info.
But yeah, Dick, I'll send you an email with some additional places to send that.
And the second piece also, Greg, on what you're looking for exactly.
Yeah, definitely. I'll send you what some other towns do, and that could be a great improvement for the town bids moving forward. So, thank you.
Perfect.
Any other comment about the request for paving bids?
Do we want to discuss like what happens if, the bids come in over the amount? Are we going to have like a top list of what roads are priority that we want to go after? Or are we just going to cross that bridge when we get there?
Well, that's going to be the, once we get the bids, we know where we're at and how much we can spend.
I see your point, but I don't know how we would know.
Well, we're asking for a price for each individual road,
Right.
right? And say we have so much in the budget and all the bids come in and you total up everyone's total and it's all more than what we have to spend. Are we going to say, okay, we're going to not do this road this year? Do we have that? I see there's like a 1 to 7. Is this like the 1 to 7 of what's most important to Rob right now?
Good
Just
question.
a random.
Do you have any information? Is there something,
doing that.
you probably spoke to him about this?
We spoke briefly, pardon me. He has a priority list, so to speak, and a plan. And I think we would look back to him and ask him to bring forward his preferences that fit his plan that he's had for some time.
Got it. And he messaged me. He meant to be here tonight to talk about this. I forgot to say that. I should have. I don't know why. He meant to be here tonight to talk about this, but he has some stuff going on. So that's why. Greg.
Yeah, Greg McPherson. To be fair to the bidders, I think the correct method to do what you're asking, Dan, is there should be one line item that's the basis of award, and then each road after that would be an alternate, and then in the posted bid, it would be listed at which section is the basis of award, and each one would be an alternate that could or could not be chosen. That way, at the time of bid, when bidders are submitting their proposal to the town, they know how the bid's going to be looked at and calculated against others. Because it's pretty hard as a bidder to submit bids, and then after the fact, it gets chopped up. So if you know that going into it, that it's hey, the town has X amount of money. We don't know what that dollar amount is, but this, Shaw Lane is going to be the basis of award. So whatever numbers you hold for that, that's whoever wins the award, apparent low. And then the rest of the roads would be alternates that the town could or could not choose to take as part of the contract.
Yeah, could you add that to the email and CC Robbie if possible, or I guess forward it? Because I definitely didn't follow you. I'm sure you guys probably understood a little bit more. But yeah.
So
Oh, definitely. Like,
if you have any more
get
questions
more
about
on that.
bidding process, let me know. Glad to help.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Greg. Okay, I think that is it for paving talk. Now we're going to move on to C, which I'm going to throw to Dan for. Go for it, sir.
All right, so I mentioned it a couple times in the past how I've been in the process of working on a main trails grant application. This is for basically a bike skills area in single track mountain bike trails. This would be adjacent to the WJ Teff Hall Sports Complex. Chip was in 2 meetings ago about a potential of designating some of that land towards conservation and recreation with a land and water conservation district. This is not that. That's another level of putting stuff away. I don't think that that discussion is over, but this is more of like a step of saying that some of this land that's not necessarily controlled by the sports complex committee would support some of that stuff. So I've been yawning all evening because I was up last night making my first PowerPoint since the Bush administration. So here we go. Proposed bike skills area in single track mountain bike trails. What is a bike skills park? Okay, that video should be playing, but that's okay. Bike Skills Park provides a safe, purpose-built space where riders of all ages can develop confidence, balance, and bike handling skills. Features may include ramps, rollers, berms, balance elements, and other obstacles that support progressive skill development. A pump track is often the key feature within a bike skills park, consisting of a continuous loop of rollers and bank turns. Riders generate momentum on a pump track by using body movements rather than pedaling. This helps improve coordination, control, and fitness. All right, here we go. This is an example of what was built in Gorham. I want to say about 6 years ago now. It was right before COVID. Then COVID happened and they said no one can go ride their bikes, so they shut this thing down. But this is, I think, one of my friend's kids. He sent this to me when, back then, just kind of showing what that would look like. So he gets all the way around, and then you kind of start again. There's like a big ramp, a big elevated stop at the start of it to kind of get your momentum. All right. So in just a few short years, advanced riders can maintain speed through the entire track using body movement alone, often without pedaling. As skills develop, riders can complete laps quickly and smoothly by generating momentum through the track's features. Advanced pump track riding highlights the progression from basic bike movement to dynamic high flow movement. So that's, after a couple years of working on it. Okay, what are single track trails? They're just that. They're single tracks, so a narrow trail through the woods, narrow winding natural surface trails that weave through wooded areas while preserving the landscape. Routed to avoid large trees and minimize environmental impacts. Suitable for biking, walking, hiking, trail running, and other non-motorized uses. Can support winter activities such as snowshoeing, cross-country skiing when conditions allow. Flexible alignments allow trails to be modified, expanded, or relocated in the future. That's what's kind of key about single track. It's just there today, it could be gone tomorrow. Designed with gentle curves, terrain features, and elevation changes for an engaging experience. Minimal features such as berms, rollers, bridges, and rock elements add interest while maintaining a natural character. provides a low-impact recreational amenity that encourages outdoor activities and connection with nature. This is a video of, again, in Gorham, an example of single track, just basically, riding your bike through the woods, going around corners. It's 3 minutes long. I'm not going to make you guys sit through the whole thing. You get the idea.
Is that you riding, Dan?
That is not me riding. I go much, much slower. Where would this go? Pump track skills area behind the playground at the Debbie J. Teft Hollis Sports Complex. Utilizes an unused area currently occupied by small oak trees and birch trees. Leaves ample room for future park amenities and expansion. Integrates with existing park facilities, providing additional recreational opportunities. Gives local youth a dedicated place to ride and build their bike handling skills. Offers an activity for siblings attending games, practices, and tournaments at the complex. Reuses existing soil and material stockpiles left from the original site clearing. If you go walk around out back there, there's some big piles of dirt that's been there since the Army cleared that for us. Enhances the park with a fun, active, and low-maintenance recreational amenity. So there's the aerial view where you guys can't see that. It's behind the playground, basically. In the trees, they're not big trees. They're all little ones that kind of grew up from not being bush hogged over the years. Site pictures, the animation. That's the kind of, this is from standing right behind the playground looking at it. Here's one to the side of the playground looking at it, just kind of the smaller trees you can see. Where would the single track trails go? I just kind of circled an area there, zoomed out. Wooded area behind the skills area. Flexible trail alignment can be adjusted over time to accommodate environmental constraints and future park needs. Connects directly to the pump track skill area and could form a loop extending towards the former Bean Street extension and back. Designed as mellow, beginner-friendly trails for leisurely riding, walking, running, and healthy outdoor exercise. Provides a safe off-road place for children and families to ride away from busy roads, truck traffic, and distracted drivers. That right there is kind of my driver of this whole thing. Back when we were kids, I would drive my bike all over the place, down the side of the road, down the ATV trails, probably places I shouldn't have been. But now there's, everyone's looking at their phones. I make my kid wear full body gear if he rides his bike down the side of the road. Expands recreational opportunities while preserving the natural character of the wooded area. And here should be some pictures of that. If you haven't been out there, it's a very cool spot. There's all these, it's almost like cathedral pines if you've ever been up to that area. There's all these straight pine trees that the town was thoughtful of planting a number of years ago. It's kind of an open canopy. The single track trails would be cutting through those underbrush there, not taking out any of the big trees that might be available to the town someday. Another picture. Why? This would provide the only public pump track and bike skills area in all of northern York County. This is located within an existing recreational complex with parking, playgrounds, and infrastructure already in place. Serves as a hub for future connections close to the California fields and the existing ATV snowmobile trails that are already well used for walking and biking. It provides an affordable outdoor activity for all ages and skills, offers an alternative to children's and teams who may not be interested in traditional team sports but still want to be outside and active. That's what we want for our kids. Gives children's, teens, and siblings attending games and practices another thing to do while they're there. Off the road, bicycles are relatively inexpensive and often can be attained for free, hand-me-downs, making cycling far more accessible and affordable than ATVs, dirt bikes, and many organized sports. How can this happen? With help. Potential partners and support. The New England Mountain Bike Association Greater Portland chapter has offered to help organize volunteers, support trail maintenance, and provide training for our parks and recreation staff and local volunteers. Main Trail Boulders and owner Stu Johnson will be assisting by providing a professional estimate for the trail and pump track design and construction costs. If grant funding is awarded, the project would be put out to competitive bid in accordance with the town as well as state grant requirements. Combining professional expertise with volunteer support will help ensure a high-quality, sustainable recreational asset with manageable long-term maintenance costs. Almost done here. There's their logo. Sorry, I didn't get all my pop-ups. How can Hollis afford such a thing? Funding opportunities. This project would be funded primarily through the Main Trails Grant Program, which provides up to 90% of project costs. Grant funding would allow the town to leverage a relatively small local investment into a significant new recreational amenity for the community. The required local match can be met through a combination of cash contributions, donated materials, and donated volunteer labor. So that material stockpile that's been sitting there could actually be leveraged as part of our grant match. Volunteer support from local residents and partner organizations can help reduce costs while strengthening community involvement. It's kind of one of those things, you get the people interested in it and they can take it over and do most of the maintenance for basically nothing. The Sports Complex Committee discussed whether a portion of the voter-approved funds remaining in the current sports complex budget could be used towards the local match, but because this project is located on an adjacent land rather than within the existing complex footprints, the committee was uncertain whether those funds would be eligible and would like guidance from the board. That's it. Sorry for boring you.
Nice presentation.
So,
You got a round of applause. That's something right
yeah,
there.
man. I
Jeez.
mean, thanks, man. So I'm sure there'll be plenty of questions, but I was looking to board's guidance for that question of if you guys support this and is something we want to move on. This trail grant application is due mid-July. We have been taking steps to get there without this approval so far, but I'd like to get that and the question about the Sports Complex Committee's unspent funds. We had a meeting last Thursday on that, and we were going over, you know, some other upgrades for there, and this was one of those topics. But since it was outside of the magical boundary line, we did not feel it was appropriate making that decision without running it past the board.
Okay. Any other comments?
This is surrendering 59 acres. This is back to that?
No, it's not. This is surrendering that
The
one.
bump
Yep.
track is just right where you had it, but outline the whole single trail.
Right, and, you know, my whole point I was trying to pass with that is, you know, these trails can easily be moved someday if something had to happen out there. It's just, it's not asking for 59 acres, it's asking for a mile-long, foot-wide path through the trees.
Okay, because when it first started, we were talking about utilizing with that grant for 59 acres, and that would lock that piece of property out.
Right, that needs some more discussion and work on that.
Okay, so,
But we could, in
Now-
essence, use the land now.
right, for a single trail through there to go through there, and that's fine. But I couldn't see locking up 59 acres because that has some real potential to it. It's valuable property. It has timber on it. It has over towards the adjacent, towards the fire station. You know. Oh, sorry, I keep forgetting that.
No problem.
I could be doing this too, remember? That wasn't me. But that's my thought on it.
But that's not that, Dan.
No,
You're,
no,
you're basically
he's
saying,
talking-
let's use the land as it is right now.
Right,
Exactly.
yep.
And we have a little bit of a sense of urgency because the grant is, the application's due in July 9th, was that?
I think it's July 17th, something like that.
So soon. Anything from the other board members? Mr. Walters?
Thank you, Dan. You did a great job on that. My concern is the same concern that I had several weeks ago when Chip was in. we have a beautiful town forest. We have a beautiful town forest for a reason. It's very well managed. I did a little research since the last meeting. It was planted in the late 40s, the best I could determine. It's been harvested 3 times commercially. And that's the reason we have the beautiful stand of trees we have today. So I talked to Chip a week or so ago because he was supposed to look into whether we could continue to make it a working forest, which would be compatible with his grant. And he said he was told absolutely we could. In fact, it would be a benefit to his grant. This is what he told me. Okay, I haven't seen it in writing. It would be a benefit to his grant to be able to practice forest conservation on the land. So I'm all in favor of this type of thing, multiple use, as long as, Dan, it doesn't interfere with our possibilities for that land in the future. And if the grant prohibits timber harvesting or conservation, then I think it's a bad idea. If it's compatible with it and we can put trail systems through the forest, I think it's a great idea. And you know, you might wonder why I get so passionate about this. Well, a lot of that town forest is red pine, okay? I was walking a woodlot with my dog today in Hollis. I came across a stand of red pine, and it's got a serious infestation of red pine scale. So I called the landowner and I said, you have a serious problem. I'm not a forest pathologist, but I know what this is. And I know what the recommendation is from the state. If you got red pine scale, you clear cut. You get rid of it. So if we get red pine scale in our town forest, we're not going to need to clear cut it because a lot of it's white pine. But we got to get in there and do some management. And if we have restrictions because of grants, we're creating ourselves all kinds of problems. So read the fine print. If this is compatible, multiple use, fine, go for it. If it isn't, you might be causing yourself problems in the future. That's all. And I'm not, I would assume a grant like this could be made compatible with what we have. I mean, there's places in there you could put trails through there without interfering with the forest at all. But just be careful. These grant writers sometimes are, that's all.
Okay. Was that question answered in terms of what you were talking about, Dan? I mean, with Terry's point that he just brought up?
I didn't see anything specific that outlaws you from doing anything in it. It's just, you know, they want to see that this area has permission from whoever owns it. Like this, these grants can work on people putting trails on private property as long as they're open to the public. And this being a public property helps the people looking at the grants understand that, you know, this is public property already, and there's a better chance of the public allowing these trails to go in the future, and therefore them saying, well, we should put some money into these trails because they're going to be open in the future.
Okay.
As far as them railroading you to not being able to cut trees, I don't think that that's anything to do with this.
So the money,
especially if it's not in the Land and Water Conservation Funds grant, if that's an allowed thing in that, I'm sure that this is allowed in this. You know, this trails grant, most of the money is going towards recreation, motorized trails. So, you know, ATV clubs, it's the kind of same pool. They dedicate a certain percentage. I think it's 50% is multi-use, and multi-use includes motorized. 25% is strictly motorized, and 25% is non-motorized. So like this is kind of the outlier of that. I don't know if that answered any questions or not, but
It gave us more insight.
Definitely.
But when you write this grant, is this locking this trail in for a time period?
it didn't ask for that.
Okay.
It just wants to know if you have permission to do it.
So it's basically 2 separate things right now. So we have this particular question, but then also we have the actual using the sports committee funds for. That's like a second piece to it, but do you want to take care of this one now and make a
Right.
motion?
You got three. You got Terry's concern too, to make sure that it's multiple use also, which I think we need to consider also.
So if I could get some specific questions, there's definitely some resources I can ask. And one is that this won't block any future logging operations.
Right.
That's one.
It's multiple use. Is that what you said, Terry?
Is it just looking at logging?
Logging operations, it's forest conservation practices in general.
I feel like this question was asked what, a while ago, and we didn't get an answer to that, or is this a separate thing? at
We
this
asked Chip.
Yeah.
and Chip told me under the soil and water grant, they would encourage forest management and conservation, but I haven't seen that officially. That's,
So why is that a question now if he basically
this is a
assured
different
us?
grant,
Because it's a different grant. They're not the same.
different
Okay.
grantor. And I assume this grantor will probably say, continue managing your forest, that's great, but I'm saying, you got to read I called a very good friend of mine in the Department of Conservation, who's a grant administrator. And he said, if it's a state grant, read the fine print. He said, if it's a federal grant, run the other way. So be careful.
Oh, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't disagree with that at all, but it's beyond just logging too.
That's
You
right.
know, I'm
Forest,
just
any
saying,
kind of
you know,
forest
this
conservation,
is,
any kind of other future use.
Valuable piece of property, and if
Right.
there's a spring on there,
And
that's only
I'm
my
thinking this is going to
concern.
be very compatible.
Yeah.
I think this is going to work out fine. But I would just want the assurance up front. Know what you're signing.
I like to know the do's and the don'ts.
Exactly. That's all.
Great, I can look into that and get you guys some answers in 2 weeks.
Great. Okay, do you want to answer the question of the sports complex
Yeah,
now? or-
that needs to be a now answer because can't put anything in the last, 2 weeks, right? So it's got to be yesterday almost.
Well, let's make a motion and we'll have discussion about it. Does that work for you?
Yeah.
Okay, go for a motion. Make a motion, please.
I make a motion that we bless sending some of the unused voter-approved sports complex committee funds as matching funds for a 2026 Main Trail Grant application for land outside of the Hollis Sports Complex adjacent land.
Do I have a second? Okay. With no second, I can't second it, so motion dies. Okay, and that moves us to town manager updates.
I have a few things to offer. First and foremost, welcome Danielle. Welcome back, Dan. Glad to see you all here. Secondly, we have still proceeding with the farmers market concept. I have received some documentation with regard to certifications, licensing, permitting, and so forth, and I'm funneling through that piece by piece. I don't have a lot to offer more so than that, but it is still proceeding. I don't know that we'll connect on maybe at the end of the growing season this year. Thirdly, we do have new, and they're in the basement of the town hall, new school crossing signs with the dynamic speed indicators. 20 feet of pole that needs to be cut in half with caps and mounted. Those were a grant by DOT, so they cost us nothing. The cost involved will be setting them up. The fire chief and the road commissioner have both been trained in how to program them, and I gave them the school schedule for the coming year. We have to have them in the ground ready to go within 6 months of receipt, so we should be easily ready for the next school year. Let me see. The road. If you've ridden on the road, you may have seen striping on the sides of the road. That is coming out of the road commissioner's budget, and it included a crosswalk across the entryway to the, I'll call it the community center or rec center, as a reminder that we have youngsters and we have people that are moving around here and trying to keep them from any kind of danger. You've seen the dynamic speed sign, I'm sure, driving in here. You can't turn the corner without getting a warning that you're breaking the speed limit. It's 10 miles an hour on the road, but if you haven't figured out by now, it's one of my pet peeves is that we don't want any kids hurt and they get out of school and they're full of energy, and we want to make sure we give them every opportunity to stay where they're supposed to be. And finally, I want to commend and make note of the extraordinary work done by all of the voter volunteers. And Crystal, this was her first solo flight, and she did a great job with, as you pointed out, Mike, an exceedingly large number of voters. Roger, I understand you were here until the final hours, and thank you for that. But all of the volunteers did a great job, but I really want to commend Crystal for this first solo flight. And that's what I've got to offer. Thank you.
Okay, so we're moving to appointments, basically reappointments, and I would like to suggest that we do this in block. In essence, basically, I'll just read this out, each reappointment, and then we can vote on as, again, in block at the end. Is that good with that, or would you like to go motion by motion, person by person?
I think you can read them all at once and we can just.
Oh, we can. I just want to make sure everyone's okay with that.
Basically reappointing everybody.
Yeah, basically take a look at this as a board. Is there anybody on here, that you feel like, don't say it out loud, but is there anybody that we would want to kind of not do it in block and actually go person by person? Is there any reason for that?
I just had one question on the planning board. We went from 7 to 5. Are we going to have too many people on it?
Attrition. It goes down by attrition. So if someone quits, someone new doesn't get reappointed.
But if your term ends, you automatically get reappointed?
Yep, until you either quit or you move. So there's reappointments for term ends, but not for if someone quits.
And that's in the planning board ordinance. Okay, well, let's do that.
Guess we can't get rid of you, Tommy.
You'll find something.
You want me to make it easy?
Huh?
I'll just read it real quick in the motion.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, real quick. Make a motion that we approve the following people for their committees they serve on. Appeals Board, Bach DeGroux, and Kathleen Harmon. Catherine.
Yeah.
I just want to let you know I practiced saying all these names, so if you want to pass it to me,
No,
let me
that's
know.
all right. Hey, I'm just trying to get Bob Mills Dam Commissioning Committee, Terry Walters, Jim Booth, and Paul Mator, and Rennie Lewis, Clothing Closet, Diane Meserve, Mona Meserve, and Teresa Neto, Conservation Commission, Lee Coleman, Ruth Levitt, Catherine Hewitt, and Sarah Sorensen Copey, Doris Luther, and Joanne Tuna, and Madison Moody, Freedom of Access Officer Crystal Gaudet, Local Health Officer Chad Poitras, Planning Board Greg McPherson, Butch Gannett, and Tom Wachowski, Sports Complex Committee Coco Purcell, Joel Joyner, Joshua St. Pierre, and Jennifer Cassie. Yeah.
Okay, so the motion is on the table to reappoint all of the said names there. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Great. And now we are on to payroll and warrant totals. I'm torturing Danielle with this, but you can pass it on to the payroll and warrant total master over there if you like.
I was going to say, I've never done this, so I don't know.
You could teach.
You can do it. And I'll do it next time. I can do it next time.
Here we go. Payroll last week, 34,827. Payroll this week, 39,268. Warrant last week, 611,905. Warrant this week, 88,185. Okay, purchase orders, 4604, Branch Reed Medical, and it's from the fire chief, 19,537.37. And that's because there's a new mandate in the state where we have to buy our own medical stuff. 4576, Sebago Sign Works and Vehicle Sign installed. And this is for Sports Complex, $2,400. 4578, Graham's Fine Gardening, clean up flower beds, and trailer mulch and sage. That's for Sports Committee Complex, and $6,243.99. Sarah Landscaping at the Hall Sports Complex, $6,426, and that's $45.79. And that's your payroll warrant and purchase orders.
Thank you, Roger. Correspondence and announcements. Danielle?
All town offices will be closed on Friday, June 19th in observance of Juneteenth holiday, and on Friday, July 3rd in observance of Independence Day. To date, there is no change in trash pickup for these holidays. Any update for trash pickup will be posted prior to the holiday.
Yeah, keep going.
The Saco River Corridor Commission recently received applications from the following for development within the corridor. Renee Lewis and Christian Penny, 29 Salmon Falls Road. Bruce and Linda Therault, I probably butchered that. 60 Water's Edge. James Poitras and Kayla Nolette, 97 Dennett Road. These applications will be heard at the commission meeting on Wednesday, June 24th, 2026 at 7 p.m. at the Dayton Town Hall. Full applications are available for review by contacting Danielle Charette at Saco River Corridor Commission. His email is srcc@srcc-maine.org. Thank you letters were received this month from Camp Sunshine, Day One, and Life Flight of Maine for the non-municipal donations from the town.
Danielle Bradbury's first correspondence and announcements, everybody. Well done.
Oh, thanks.
Any other business from the board?
A couple of things. Just a reminder, I've got some of those 55-gallon plastic drums that if people need them for recycling and you don't have them, please contact the town manager with your name and address so we can drop you off one. Also, bringing the board up, when we met with the finance committee and the select board and our town auditor, we started talking about reconciliations and finding a certified public accountant, and I have been working on that, and I reached out to one company who's referred me to another company in Biddeford, which I am going to contact and get more information to bring it back to the board so we can start getting the town finances a little bit tighter and working better.
Great. Anything else from anybody?
I forgot one item on the agenda.
Oh, sure.
I know there's always something I forget. I forgot to mention that on June 26th, which is a Friday, the offices here at Town Hall are closed to the public for fiscal year end and training. And I forgot to put that on the agenda, just so folks know. We're here, we're working, but we won't see you until next Tuesday or the day before. So, June 26th.
Okay.
So that means you'll be closed 2 Fridays in a row, right? Like, just so people know that. Okay.
Yes, and then we got to review things and see where we stand at the end of the year.
Okay. One thing I wanted to bring up is now that we're a five-person select board, we've been a five-person select board for a year now. That generally necessitates, or not doesn't necessitate, but usually you'd want to have a vice chair. And I was wondering what the board's taste for that would be to potentially nominate and elect a vice chair. Do you think we need one? Yep. Yep. Is that what, would you like to make a motion to?
I'd make a motion to be Roger.
Well, you got it. Let's make it real. Chair would entertain a motion to elect a vice chair of the Hollis
one.
Select Board. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay. What do I have for nominations?
I nominate Roger.
Could you speak into the microphone?
I nominate Roger Hicks for that position.
Okay.
I'll second Jack's motion.
Okay. All in favor? Well, saying any discussion? I'm firmly against this and no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I think it's a great move.
Any other nominations? Or,
Yeah, any other
or
nominations?
shotguns to somebody's back?
Okay, this is,
No.
I think it's a
Okay.
really, really good move. Awesome. And so we have a second. We have no other nominations. So how do you vote? I'll go from my left, my right. Dan.
Is this to close nominations? Sorry.
Oh,
That was-
sorry, yes. Sorry. All in favor to close nominations for the vice chair of the Hollis Select Board?
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay. And now we're going to vote on, we're going to move to the previous question.
I vote Roger.
We nominated Roger, so we just need to say yes.
Yes.
This is the most awkward vote ever. It might be my fault. I don't know. But Dan, you say yes. Obviously,
am I
you already
yesing to
seconded.
this time?
My answer is yes.
Yes.
And you don't need to.
You can't refuse.
Ladies and gentlemen, the new vice chair of the Hollis Select Board, first ever, Roger Hicks. Stand up, take a lap. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. All right, so we have one other, number 13 is upcoming town committee and board meetings. Conservation Commission Open Space Plan Public Meeting, very important meeting. Please come. This is going to be an awesome meeting. They've done a lot of work. They have a great, what do you call it, survey out there right now, and I'd love to hear more about that and what the results were. That's on Thursday, June 18th, which is tomorrow at 6 p.m. The Comprehensive Planning Board meeting is on Wednesday, June 24th at 1 p.m. Planning Board meeting on Wednesday, June 24th at 7 p.m. The Bar Mills Dam Decommissioning Plan Review public meeting on Thursday, June 25th at 6 p.m. The next Select Board meeting on Wednesday, July 1st is 6 p.m., of course, and then Planning Board meeting on Wednesday, July 8th at 7 p.m. Item number 14, agenda item number 14 is public comment.
I'm Bill Goldschmidt. I live on Hollis Road. I'd like to talk to you for a few minutes on data centers. I understand you're thinking about a moratorium. I grew up on, I built semiconductors all my life, so there's 14,700 data centers in the world. 4,700 of them is in the United States. They're not going away. The average data center, or data centers, are typically $50 million to $100 million. $50 million data center at $16 a thousand would bring us $800,000 in taxes. Data centers use water, power, What you hear is water, power, and traffic. Let me tell you about water. They use water for cooling. I worked for Fairchild for 30 years. We had a lot of equipment that needed cooling. Cooling is like your hot water heater. Cool water goes in, it takes heat out of the hot water heater, and warm water comes out. You would drink your water out of your hot water heater, wouldn't you? You would drink the hot water coming out of a data center too. It's clean. Now they can add stuff to it. They can add nasties to it. But the cooling out of a data center, you can drink that water. It's just warm, clean water. So you can monitor the water coming out of it, and if it gets dirty, shut them down. Put that in the planning. Power, we got 4 dams. One of them hasn't run for, several years. They want to shut it down because CMP is not buying that power. One of them has got a huge battery because CMP won't buy all their power during some of the time. So this battery is there, and it's got places in it where it's got, in case it catches on fire, it's got things in it that will put the fire out. Why would they do that if it doesn't ever catch on fire? And guess what? It's right next to our river. So if we need power, maybe if we had a data center that used a lot of power, maybe the dam in Pine Mills wouldn't shut down. Maybe CMP would say, or maybe the power company would say, oh, I'll keep that one running, and that would solve that problem. Traffic. You hear the rumors of all the traffic. Typical data center, once it's built, has 10 to 25 people maintaining it. And it runs 24/7. That means 4 shifts. Divide 25 people by 4, the 4 shifts, so that when the shift change, you're going to have 6 people. You don't have a traffic problem. If you have a data center come in, it's going to take 4 to 7 years for them to get their permits, get their building built, so what's going to happen in 5 years? Poland Springs TIF's going to run out. You got a $50 million building going up. Wouldn't it be nice to have a $50 million TIF? Now, I know there's a lot of bad rumors about the TIF, Poland Springs TIF, but that's because it was written wrong. You heard earlier about the TIF and the problems and all that. It wasn't written right. And the people that wrote it, when they were writing it, it was about the same time that Fairchild, the company I worked for, had a TIF written with South Portland. And it was a joke around Fairchild how South Portland got screwed and we laughed about it at Fairchild. So I went to the people that wrote that TIF and said, would you help Hollis write the TIF? And they said, we'd be more than glad to go out and spend some time with them. And I come out and offered that. And it's, oh no, we don't need that. We're all set. Hire some people that know how to write TIFs, and you'd have a good TIF. I went to, 2 weeks ago, Gorham had a public hearing on the moratorium, a moratorium on data centers. There was 4 people that got up and spoke. All of that, I spent like 20 hours researching, doing some research, and I didn't use Facebook and multimedia. You know, I've been by, there's a 53,000 square foot data center downtown Portland on 340 Cumberland Avenue, right in the middle of Portland. I went by it. I stopped by it. I took a picture. I can show you the building. I went to City Hall and talked to them. It's a beautiful building. And it's not 50 to 100 acres. These buildings aren't 50 to 100 acres. 53,000 square feet. There's 44,000 square feet to an acre. So this is like 1.2 acres. It's in an 8-story building. It takes up two stories in this 8-story building. I went to the tax assessor in Portland. So I went to the public hearing, and this young man stood up and said, dirty water, we talked about that. He said, the traffic, we talked about that. Lights, he said, the town of Gorham will never see a star and you'll never see a full moon again because they light these things up with all the lights. They must do it for security. They're not going to do that. And there was some other ridiculous thing. And there was 4 people that spoke, and it was all this. And I haven't done a lot of research on it. I've done a little bit, but I said, this is, the 4 things that they brought up were not true. They got this off Facebook or something. None of them were true. And one of the councilmen said, we're legally can only have a moratorium for 6 months. And he says, the day before the 6 months is up, I'll get another 6-month one. We'll never have one in town. And I'm sitting there saying, it's $800,000. Maybe you'll get a big one. Maybe it's $1.6 million in taxes. Not once, every single year. And it's clean. It's the cleanest industry going. Think of one of those right down back here with 6 people going to work down next to the river. I don't know enough about it. I'd like to maybe you'd get him to, rather than him dealing with the day-to-day garbage that he has to deal with, look at it a little bit. I don't know him very well, but I'd like to work with him a little bit on it. And there's 9 of them, either potentials or some of them really going at it, going already. There's one in Brunswick. And go find out about it and look at the positive side of it. But there's these towns are just going crazy, moratoriums that, and they don't look at any potentials. Let's look at a potential. Think of $800,000. Think about it.
Very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment? Okay, we've been going at it for a little bit here. Jack, would you like to do your thing?
I like this time. At this time, I'd like to adjourn this meeting, and thank you folks very, very much.
Can I get a second to adjourn the meeting?
Second.
Oh, come on. Let Danielle.
I'm
That
supposed to
second
go
has been
too.
voided.
I've done a couple seconds.
All right, it's true. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
See, you got to go first.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. All right.